A tip helped officers and school leaders discover a weapon a student carried onto campus today. The police department alerted school officials and the SRO. The SRO and administrators located the student to ask questions and conduct a search. The weapon was confiscated and the student now faces charges. No students or staff were injured.
Now to new details revealed in the courtroom about the relationship between the Mount Tabor shooting suspect and the victim.
Maurice Evans Jr. appeared in court today in Forsyth County for the first time in front of cameras. And according to Evans' defense attorney, there was a history of some tension between Evans and the victim, William Miller Jr.
WFMY News 2's Marissa Tanzino was in the courtroom today for that bond hearing. Marissa, what else did we learn about this tension between the suspect and victim?
Well, Stacey, the purpose of the hearing today was to talk bond, but we learned a lot in the courtroom about the case as a whole, including that this feud between the two teens dates back to this summer when the defense says the suspect, 15-year-old Maurice Evans Jr., was shot 9 times. That shooting happened back in June, months before Evans allegedly took a gun into Mount Tabor High School in September, shooting and killing William Miller Jr. Evans' defense attorney, J.D. Byers, says it's because of that shooting back in June that Evans feared for his life and didn't go to school in the days leading up to the shooting at Mount Tabor. After the June shooting that put Evans in intensive care, the defense says Miller threatened Evans, saying they were, quote, going to finish the job. District Attorney Jim O'Neill agreed in court that the feud between Evans and Miller was ongoing, but regardless of whether Evans' actions the day of the Mount Tabor shooting was retaliation, he asked the judge to deny bond for Evans to send a strong message to the community.
I do believe that any time you're dealing with school violence, we have to send a message to the community that that won't be tolerated. The criminal justice system takes these cases very seriously.
Now, defense attorney J.D. Byers said after the hearing that he thought it was justified to ask for bond for his client, but respects the court's decision. He was also asked about the documents handed to the judge during the hearing.
It was some photos of my client when he was in the hospital, and some, I won't go into details about what they were, but it was some text messages from Mr. Miller to my client, and some postings online.
Now, the next court date hasn't been set yet, but the defense says next they and the prosecution will continue to get evidence together in discovery and get ready to go to trial.
Marissa, thank you. Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools responding to community concerns about students and their mental health. The district will start a series of community conversations teaching parents and guardians how to help with mental and emotional challenges. Counseling services will serve as panelists at the forums. This gives parents the opportunity to get answers and resources. The district says parents are seeing high levels of anxiety in children.
A lot of what we're seeing relates to anxiety, so student anxiety. So students who may not feel comfortable coming to school all day for the day, or students who may just feel uncomfortable in a certain type of situation, or in large groups, or in large gatherings. So helping parents understand where some of that may be coming from, and helping them understand some of the things that we're doing to work with students.
The first session was today. Another session will be held in person next Tuesday. Now, if you're interested in going, we do have details on our website. The district is also in the process of having assessment teams visit individual schools to address each school's needs. The district's hope that this will help prevent future violence. When the teams complete their assessments, they'll present that information to the school board.
Reports show suicide is the 10th leading cause of mental health in the U.S. Throughout the pandemic, more people are talking about the importance of mental health awareness. A father is sharing his son's battle with mental health and the resources available. Those who knew Shay McKenna remember him as an incredible mind.
Really an intellectual. He loved to read.
An athlete and a lawyer.
And very funny. Very, very funny as well.
But Shay's bright future was cut short in June of 2014, just a few weeks shy of his 28th birthday.
He was struck by a vehicle on Bryan Boulevard. just in a very short time made a horrible decision. We don't feel it was fated to be that way. We feel the combination of...
Shay's father, Tom McKenna, tells me for many years his son struggled with substance abuse and his mental health before deciding to take his own life.
We talk about stigma, and I mentioned Shay was one of the most free thinkers that any of us would ever have known. But even he struggled with the stigma of a mental health challenge.
As a parent, as a father, how did you feel in this moment knowing that your child is struggling? How did you deal with this?
At the time, we just didn't understand it enough. And quite frankly, at times we were a little overwhelmed by a feeling of helplessness. We felt helpless. We felt extremely helpless.
November 6, McKenna is turning helplessness into hope with the 6th annual Shay's Chase 5K. The race in honor of Shay has helped to raise $250,000. All proceeds go to Mental Health Greensboro, a group that provides free peer support services to the community.
One of the things that we wanted to try and do with Shay's Chase and with our work with Mental Health Greensboro is to let folks know that there's many folks going through the same things out there, that there are resources.
He hopes his son's story helps break the stigma mental health carries.
Although it's difficult at times, please reach out to a family member, reach out to clergy, reach out to a teacher, reach out to a counselor. Going it alone is too great a challenge for any one of us.
The 5K is November 6th at Revolution Mill in Greensboro. All those details are posted up on our website. You know, I think the biggest takeaway from this is that mental health has no face. It can affect any of us, maybe on different levels, but it's okay to reach out and that there are resources out there if you are struggling with something.
I will tell you, as a parent, the first thing that I think of whenever I do is a line of communication with your kids. It sounds so easy, like, oh, I talk to my kids all the time, but do you really talk to them? You know what I mean? Like talking to them day in and day out, that's gonna happen. But to sit down and have an in-depth conversation and ask them how they're feeling and that type of thing, you have to keep that going and kind of break the barrier to get closer in to see what's going on.
Yeah, and I know it's sometimes hard to ask for help, but please do not ever feel embarrassed to ask for help if you feel like, you know, you're having some kind of suicidal thoughts or you're just really not feeling well. This is a time to reach out and don't be embarrassed about it, because we all go through things like this.
That's right, Stacy. And Mental Health Greensboro, it is free. They offer free services to people throughout Guilford County, both in person and online. So if you're feeling uncomfortable because of the pandemic, they have those options too. So it's a really great organization that a lot of people don't know that they're here.
Yeah, and great that they're having a 5K to raise money for more awareness.
Absolutely. Again, those details are online.
We're learning more about the decision to create a task force to handle the Short family murders. New investigators will review the evidence in the murders of Michael, Mary, and Jennifer Short. Michael and Mary Short were shot to death in their Henry County home in 2002. Their 9-year-old daughter, Jennifer, was missing until her body was later found in Rockingham County. Investigators have yet to solve their killings. Today, Sheriff Lane Perry explained why multiple agencies are committing investigators who have never looked at this case to review the evidence on this task force.
Some of the objectives of this was, once again, to take a set of investigators that have limited knowledge about the case and let them go looking through the case with fresh eyes, per se. It is putting files and cases together, going over leads, seeing if there's anything new that comes up and anything that develops. Also making sure that all of the evidence has the most current technological advancements in testing.
Sheriff Perry revealed there's a possibility some people may be withholding information. He mentioned Jennifer may have relied on a school friend with information about something she may have been experiencing before she went missing. Investigators are hoping anyone who knows anything will step forward to help solve this nearly 20-year-old case.
An advisory panel to the FDA advises Moderna's vaccine for booster shots for seniors and other high-risk groups. Current studies suggest the vaccine is still highly effective at protecting most people against severe cases of COVID and death. Moderna and some federal health officials say a third smaller dose could boost the protection. The FDA panel is expected to vote tomorrow on Johnson & Johnson's request to get a second dose to some high-risk Americans as early as 2 months after their first dose of the single shot. Pfizer's vaccine has already received approval for a third shot for older and high-risk Americans.
Yeah, we're looking at our temperatures for the next day or two to be very summer-like, but then little by little we're going to see that exit. In fact, we think by Saturday night into Sunday, that's when fall arrives from a temperature standpoint. And we look at this, 80 in Greensboro, 82 Winston-Salem. Hey, Walnut Cove's at 83. We see an 83 in Yanceyville as well, too. Lexington, you're at 81, and Asheboro an even 80. Tonight, overnight lows in the low 60s. That's partly cloudy. Mild temperatures, really. 62 is pretty mild for this time of the year. 84 tomorrow. Think this will be the warmest day of the short term, and then we do a 180 on Saturday. We might be able to reach 80 degrees on Saturday, but it's all timing, right? There's a front heading in our direction. You'll see it here on our radar if you look back to the west. I mean, right now this is in the Arkansas area, but that is moving closer. Also Louisiana seeing some rain. But if you look at the timestamp ahead, this is Saturday morning at 11 a.m., the heart of the triad with just some clouds starting to move in, but mountain communities will see rain. Then it spreads across the area by Saturday afternoon. We think hopefully by 5 or 6 we'll be clearing out, and that's when the cooler air really starts to rush in. And in just a little bit we'll talk more about the 7-day, but just note lows will be in the 40s for Sunday morning and through a lot of next week.
If they got orgs and stuff like that, it'll be like a little org fair and everything. They're gonna be out there dancing. Go get you some dance on. Yeah, let them know. We like, you went through a PWI, but you know.
You know, this time of the year, there's nothing better than a fall festival complete with fall weather and, of course, food and music, and that's exactly what we get this weekend at Summerfield Farms. I chatted with recording artist and Summerfield resident Stephanie Quayle about this weekend's event and how she began this whole process.
Always being in music, my love of music, creating a fall music fest on the farm is a total dream come true. I love sharing music because it brings the community together. There's nothing like live music, as you know. And I think we're so hungry for it that it's the perfect time. It's beautiful. The weather's glorious. And my fellow artists that are going to be performing on Sunday afternoon are tremendous and local North Carolinians. And I think that's always a really great component of any music festival, wherever you go, is that there is that local, because there's a huge local music scene here.
So the festival's this Sunday, by the way, at 2 o'clock at Summerfield Farms. Now, Stephanie says she thinks this is a perfect mix of really what a fall festival should be.
We have William Head, and we have, I want to make sure I say her name, Corby Brook performing, and they've played the farm before. And we'll have food trucks, and our well truck and a few of our mini creatures will for sure show up. And it's a family event. You know, whenever we have these on the farm, it's all about bringing families together. And I think because we're outdoors, that's a huge advantage, right? That we can, you know, everyone can feel safe and have that space. And it's just going to be a glorious afternoon.
In case I don't want to clarify this, because Stephanie is not only the owner with she and her husband of Summerfield Farms, but when I say she's a legitimate recording artist, she is. Remember we talked
you did
with
that
her
story before.
Yes.
She can sing.
She can sing. That's true.
Really
That's
sing.
true. And so she writes her own stuff. I mean, it's the real deal. In fact, I said, "What's your schedule like for the next week?" She goes, "Well, I got to go to Nashville to finish up my album. Then I have to go to Texas. She's going on tour." And so in between all that, she comes back here and hangs out in Summerfield.
So she's a busy woman.
Yes.
But this is the perfect weekend for something like this because we're supposed to have that cold front coming
right.
through.
Fall weather.
And
Some
perfect
real fall
because Sunday,
weather.
this is Sunday at 2, so Saturday the front goes through. Then Sunday morning, we'll see temperatures in the 40s. And then we get up to about 69 to 70 degrees on Sunday. So if you think about that with a light jacket and outside with the whole farm vibe, and that it's going to be
Nice
great.
boots.
Yes.
Sounds like my
Jacket.
type of weather and event.
She has
Yeah.
the 3 acts, and she's one of them. I think she takes the stage at 4, but the whole thing starts at 2.
Have you ever been out to Summerfield Farms?
I have not. I have not been out there.
It's beautiful.
Okay.
It's very beautiful. Put that on your list of
I'm
things to do
telling
as a
you.
triad.
Long list of events and activities and team bonding that we have not gotten to yet.
Please bring a scroll and just let it roll
let it
down.
roll.
It just
everything
go
that
all
you-
the way down.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay there.
The Village Mentorship Inc. has one goal, and that is to create a solid foundation of stability and emotional support for young men in our community. This weekend, the Village has something special planned for kids all across the Triad. WFNY News 2's Jalen Gilkey spoke with organizers about this weekend's event.
Yeah, Lauren, this Saturday, the Village Mentorship Inc. will host their 4th annual HBCU Day in partnership with Hope Academy. The purpose of this event and others like it is to introduce as many Triad kids and teens to college as possible and show them that you can achieve anything no matter where you come from.
goal of the village from 2016 was always to make sure that we are providing a different level of intimate support and emotional stability for young men.
Trevor Rudd is one of the founders of the Village Mentorship, Inc. He and his team formed this group to provide a shoulder to lean on for those that need it most, like Miles Miller, who has been involved in the group for 4 years now.
So I've actually been a part of the village for 4 years, and it's been a good experience. Definitely have developed a family, but also more than that, seeing the impact that I have on the community, and also just the mentees that you bring up with.
Saturday, the village will host their annual HBCU Day at the Hope Academy here in Greensboro.
So October 16th, we're having HBCU Day, a day on the yard, which is basically going to be music, food, performances, and more from 12 to 4. It's really about engaging the community, inspiring kids to want to come to an HBCU.
Saturday's HBCU Day will be held at Hope Academy, located at 1403 West Florida Street here in Greensboro. If you need more information, I'll attach links in this web story on WFMYnews2.com.
Very nice. Saw some of my sorors in that video there.
Yeah, there you go.
Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Yeah, I think it's an event that you'd actually love, Lauren. I know they'll have different representatives from the different Greek organizations as well out there, so you might make you some friends out there.
Yeah, maybe I should come out and check it out. But I think that events like this are great just to give kids that exposure to different organizations, different schools that they might not be aware of.
You're absolutely right. And you know, me coming from St. Louis, we don't have many HBCUs in Missouri. We have one, Lincoln University, out in there at Jefferson City, but I didn't have that much information about HBCUs until one of my cousins, about my junior high school, he went to A&T actually, and he just kept putting the bug in my ear, and I just took a visit one time and fell in love.
It's because the alumni A&T's alumni are
strong.
all into it. They're so strong anywhere in the country. I know there are chapters of alumni organizations all over the country, especially for A&T.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the first things I covered when I moved to Greensboro was homecoming for A&T, and I just was like open to a whole new world I didn't know about. And it was so much fun. I got to hang out with the band and the cheerleaders, and I had the best morning. So I could see how this weekend will be fun.
It's an experience like no other.
It is.
I love the drum line. That's my favorite.
The drum line, the bands, just that pride. It's just a different experience like no other.
And Jalen has it.
Yeah, I have it, and I'm not willing to share it.
You shouldn't. Keep that there. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back. Well, we're waiting for fall weather to arrive. Don't worry, by Sunday you'll think, here it is. We've been waiting. Yeah, dramatic change from right now and really tomorrow to Sunday. There's a chance we could go from 84 tomorrow or to as Friday's temperature down to 69 for a high by Sunday. That's closer to what our overnight lows have been recently. To put all that into perspective, it's 80 right now in the Triad. Wilmington at 82. Charleston, beautiful in South Carolina. It's 85 degrees there. Boone's all the way down to 71 though. Asheville at 80 degrees. Here's your hour by hour heading into the night. Break it into the 70s pretty quickly there. We'll be in that in the next hour or so. 60s by probably 9 p.m. tonight, and then we're thinking we'll get down to about 62. That's a mild overnight low. It'll be fairly comfortable, just a little bit of a chill because lower humidity out there. We're not quite as humid as we would be. Look at this. We'll go out to a wider shot and show you that front is on the way. That's the front that will bring the chance of rain for us. That's probably a Saturday afternoon thing. If you look at this time breakdown, this is 11 a.m., mostly mountain showers at that point. Then it moves across the Triad somewhere between about noon and say 3. I think we'll start to clear out quickly after that. By 4 o'clock, things are looking good, and we'll see clearer weather moving in, but much cooler. As we said, those highs around 69, and our lows lately have been in the low 60s. We'll show you the 7-day coming up.
Hurtful words can sometimes feel like bricks being thrown at us. Coach Lamont tells us how we can let go of the weight and pain when those hurtful words come our way in today's U-Day segment.
So many of us have experienced people throwing bricks at us. These bricks are hurtful words, false accusation, mean names, anything that you can imagine. Add it to the list. This was my state. I was weighed down by bricks that it became my identity. It was how I identified with myself. It was the names that I even called myself. It was how I related to myself. Brick by brick, I was lost in a world of my own pain. It is hard at times to find ourselves out of this pain, especially when those bricks that are thrown are bricks that you eventually use against yourself. I decided one day to take those bricks and build a wall that would protect me from the people that hurt me, protect me from the pain that was inflicted towards me. And when you use your bricks that way, you will see just how dynamic you can be away from their actions.
Welcome back and happy Friday Eve. We're not even going to call it Thursday. We're just going to go ahead and call it Friday Eve.
There we go.
Friday Junior.
Use the word. I love it.
Yes, I'm Stacey Spivey with Lauren Coleman, Eric Chilton, and Jalen Gilkey.
Welcome back, whether you're watching at home, online, Roku, Fire Stick, so many ways, and make sure that you hop on Facebook. It's kind of quiet there. We love to hear from you, talking about a lot today, including an advisory panel to the FDA advises Moderna's vaccine for booster shots for seniors and other high-risk groups. Current studies suggest the vaccine is still highly effective at protecting most people against severe cases of COVID and death. Moderna and some federal health officials say a third smaller dose could boost the protection. The FDA panel is expected to vote tomorrow on Johnson & Johnson's request to get a second dose to some high-risk Americans as early as 2 months after their first dose of the single shot. Pfizer's vaccine has already received approval for a third shot for older and higher-risk Americans.
Only certain groups can get the booster right now, and many are wondering when they can get their booster or their third dose. Dr. Uhl with Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist says that decision may come sooner rather than later.
I think it's probably going to get sorted out sometime around the end of October, maybe the first week of November. And you'll see public health guidance coming out of the CDC and the NIH. And the Infectious Diseases Society of America about how to boost. If you need to boost, how would be the best way to do it?
Cohen Health will reopen its mass vaccination site at the Greensboro Coliseum to handle booster shots and the chance of child vaccinations. The clinic will reopen on 3 Saturdays in October and November. Booster vaccines are available for anyone immunocompromised, 65 and older, or if you are at high risk of exposure because of your job. Guilford County Division of Public Health plans to host a separate clinic at the Coliseum on the 16th and the 30th. You can find when the clinics will be and how to schedule your appointment on our website. Meantime, our state hit a new recent low in the percentage of coronavirus tests coming back positive. You see it all the way to the right, 5.9%. It's been nearly 3 months since we've seen a number this low. The last time was back on July 13th, well off the left side of this graph here. You can see how close numbers today's numbers, is to the red line, which is the state's goal of 5%. If we keep on this downward trajectory, we'll dip below this line soon, something we haven't done in a while.
There's no question that we like salty foods, right? French fries. We also have deli meats not showing up, potato chips. Our plates are full of sodium. The Food and Drug Administration now asking the food industry to voluntarily reduce the amount of salt in products amid a growing epidemic of diet-related conditions. Now take a look at this. The FDA says on average, Americans consume nearly 3,400 milligrams of sodium a day, but the FDA says adults should only have about 2,300 milligrams a day. That's about 2.5 teaspoons of salt. That's why the FDA is cooking up a plan to decrease the nation's average sodium consumption by 12% over the next 2.5 years. According to the FDA, nearly 70% of sodium intake comes from packaged, processed, and restaurant foods. Registered dietitian Alice Smith says diets with high sodium intake can lead to issues like high blood pressure, stroke, cancer, obesity, and Alzheimer's disease. She also says foods that are high in sodium are also high in sugar, inflammatory oils, unhealthy fats, additives, and preservatives that really can impact our health. As the FDA pushes for change, Smith says you can always make a change at home.
What you do at home is most important. So really filling your grocery cart, your plate with those real whole foods, and the fewer ingredients, the better. And knowing what are those ingredients, what is in your food, what are you consuming?
Smith tells me the easiest way to do that is to grab the foods that don't have labels like fruits, vegetables, and grains. But if you really love the flavor of salt, try using Himalayan salt or seasoned with spices like turmeric, which is actually a great anti-inflammatory. So I learned a lot about this today and how big of a problem it has become, and to really just try to avoid those aisles that are in the center of the grocery store. Smith said you want to stay on the perimeter where all the whole foods are.
I love Alice. I follow her on Facebook. She posts so many great recipes and healthy foods and foods with less salt in them. I've tried some of her recipes, so you should check her out on Facebook.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't put salt on a lot, but I guess you don't have to, right? I mean, it's like built into some of these, and especially the processed foods. It's taken me a while to understand what processed foods mean. My wife has helped me tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, really any kind of canned food anything that's packaged ahead of time, it's going to have a lot of hidden salt in it. So just keep that in mind whenever you're buying things at the grocery store.
Typical. Now I know I have bad habits already. Now I know everything I like is not good for you. Can I just say that?
Yeah, I love potato chips and
Yes.
popcorn a little too much.
Yeah, popcorn's so good, and French fries.
Talk about salt though. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Well, the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force says aspirin should not be taken to prevent a heart attack or stroke. The task force claims taking a low dose of aspirin consistently increases the bleeding risk for adults in their 60s who have not had a heart attack or stroke, and the risk outweighs the benefits. The recommendations are for people with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, or other conditions that increase their chances for a heart attack or stroke. No matter how old an adult is, the task force recommends consulting a doctor about taking aspirin.
You might take aspirin if you come down with a fever or start to feel you have a cold. Another tactic many of us have heard to fight a cold is sweating it out. But health experts say you can't actually cure a cold by sweating it out. According to the Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins Medicine, there is not a cure for the common cold. When you get a cold, symptoms usually show up about 2 to 3 days after the virus is in your system, and it can last anywhere from several days to several weeks. Your body temperature is likely to raise, which can cause you to sweat. Doctors actually say if you sweat too much when you're sick, you run the risk of dehydrating, and that could make it more difficult for you to recover. Rather than sweating out the fever, doctors say staying hydrated is the best way to fight the common cold. Very, very interesting.
But don't you remember that as a kid? I don't know about you guys. My mom would always say, you know, put an extra blanket on when we had a fever and chills. I think they really thought that you could just sweat it out.
Yeah, I was just talking about this with Julie the other day. I would wear a sweatshirt. I'll go on the treadmill, different things to like sweat out that cold, drinking tea. And I've always thought that that worked.
Apparently it doesn't. I remember when I was so sick when I was little, I guess my fever was so bad, my mom made me take a cold bath.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that actually works or not.
It does.
Does it?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
it does, because they'll tell you that as a parent for a child that gets a spiked fever. Now, by the way, I feel like I have to say this for Stacy's benefit too. For your kid, especially a young kid like under 2, to get a fever of 104 or 105, that's common, right? So that's not, once they say once you get to 105, that's when they want you to call the doctor or even put them in a cool bath. Yeah, because 104 for a kid is nothing for an infant in that, but for us, obviously that would be a big deal. But yeah, I think I remember once having a fever as a kid so much that I was sitting in a chair and I felt like the chair was falling backwards.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember my mother going, "We're going to the hospital."
Yeah.
I heard of one cold, cure for the cold. Someone said if you cut up onions and put them in your socks,
I've heard that.
It's supposed to like go through your pores and through your system. Never tried it, but
I've heard you put potatoes in your socks when you sleep, and it brings out all the toxins.
Like a
and
whole
then,
potato?
No, like you slice it and then like then you put it in
potato
your
slices,
sock,
yeah.
and then you like it's all black when you wake up in the morning because all the toxins came out of your body.
I don't know if that's it or not.
That's something we need to verify.
Yeah.
Get our
Let's
Megan
ask
Malaris on
Megan
it.
Malaris.
Tanya talks about this all the time. She's a believer in some of that. We'll have to ask her when she's back in house.
Yeah, we will. Well, a cold front is forecasted to move through tomorrow, bringing a line of scattered storms and showers. When you see scattered showers on the radar, you could get caught in a storm or see a little drizzle or maybe see nothing at all. That's why a viewer asked WFMY News 2's Megan Malaris to verify.
Well, that sound means it is time to verify. Rain, rain, go away, come again another day or in another neighborhood. Today's question comes from viewer Greg Brown in Greensboro.
Hi, my name's Greg, and I heard that it rains more consistently near the PTI airport than it does in other places in Greensboro. Is that true? And if so, why?
Great question, Greg. Our sources for the answer are rain data from the National Weather Service and meteorologist Christian Morgan, who conclude it's false.
It's a great question. It's a really hard thing to kind of break down, too. So take a look at this. I kind of compiled some rainfall totals from the last 7 days. not only out at PTI, but also across the area as well. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you, PTI, we talk about that a lot because it's the place where our official records are kept for Greensboro weather. So over the last 7 days, PTI had about a little over an inch of weather. Now, High Point way outdid PTI Airport, Brown Summit pretty close there. Asheboro over 2 3/4 inches of rain over the last 7 days, and the Lindley Park area in Greensboro had about an inch of rain.
So a rainy day at the airport is just coincidence, but certain factors like geography and elevation can influence precipitation amounts.
A lot of times we can say, north of I-40 you may see more, south of I-40 you may see less. And the reason for that is a lot of different factors, but actually one that people don't realize is that the elevation from places like Asheboro up to Greensboro changes quite a bit. And even that amount of elevation change can actually cause a little more in the way of snow to fall, and it can actually cause a little more in the way of precipitation to fall if we're not even talking about winter weather.
So the claim it rains more at PTI Airport than other areas of the Triad is false. It is true certain factors like geography and elevation can influence how much precipitation a certain neighborhood receives. So unlike the real estate market, Mother Nature isn't all about location, 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 but staying on top of your changing forecast with tools like the News 2 app can help you figure out where she's going next. With your Verify, I'm Megan Malaris.
If you hear or see a claim that needs to be verified, just send a selfie, video, or short paragraph to verify at WFMY.com.
And we'll be watching those showers as we head into your Saturday. I think tomorrow probably the warmest day of the week as we see some possible mid-80s. It's really Saturday afternoon that it's a game changer for us as that front moves by. We're in the low 80s for most people. Asheboro at 78 right now, 80 in Greensboro, Winston-Salem at 82, and Walnut Cove showing up at 82 degrees as well. Even back to the west, Wilkesboro at 81 and Boone at 72. All right, tonight 62 degrees, the overnight low, scattered clouds. Tomorrow mostly sunny, 84, very warm for this time of the year. It's about 10 degrees above normal. Here's that front that'll get here eventually by Saturday. Probably Saturday morning, mountain communities get a little rain, then across the Triad by afternoon. I think by 3 or 4, we'll start to see the clouds clear out, and we end up with a beautiful, albeit a little bit windy and cooler weather moving in for your Saturday night. Here's the time frame. You can see that cold front getting into the mountain and foothills by 11 o'clock Saturday. Then by the time we get to about 2 or 3, we have the rain in the Triad. See how spotty it is, though. It's not a complete washout by any stretch of the imagination. And by Saturday night, that has moved on to the coast. Here's your 7-day with 84 tomorrow and sun. A couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm Saturday as that front moves by, but more likely rain. 80 degrees. And then boy, does the weather change. 48 for a low and 67 for a high on Sunday. We're seeing sunny to partly cloudy skies, low to mid 70s Monday through Thursday of next week. You know, we've all seen them on the roads. Deer are everywhere this time of the year. In fact, in the last 20 years or so, get this, the deer population in North Carolina has increased from 10,000 20 years ago to over 1 million now. That spells trouble on the roads. I spoke with Allied Insurance owner Christopher Cook about what we need from an insurance standpoint if you do hit a deer.
Sure. So in our state, it's required that you have liability insurance on your automobile. It's optional to have coverage for damage to your car. And that comes in two primary coverage types. One is called comprehensive. In layman's terms, we call that acts of nature or acts of God. Things like hitting an animal, flood damage, hail damage, cracked windshield goes in that category. So that's comprehensive coverage. And then there's collision. You collided with something. You were driving and you wrecked. Now, well, Christopher, I hit a deer. I was driving and I wrecked. Yes, but it was an animal. It's an act of nature. You need to have comprehensive to cover hitting an animal.
But avoiding a deer altogether, that actually can be difficult. Cook says it's as hard as it is to hear, sometimes you may just have to hit the animal.
Animals move a little bit more dawn and dusk. So, you know, when it's kind of not real bright outside, early in the morning, later in the evening, that's the most prone time. And then Eric, I hate saying this, but the thing that's just awful to say, but it's true as far as your car insurance goes, hit the deer. Hold on, 10 and 2, press your brakes, but stay straight. Do not swerve and hit the guardrail or swerve and run off the road and risk your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is hard. And later on, he even said, I hate to say this, I know your viewers, some viewers will not like that, but the truth is that if you swerve, you're in greater danger than just the one deer, not only for your car and damage, but he's right. I mean, you could be in a serious accident. Because I live out in the county, I hit 2 deer, especially back when I used to work the Good Morning Show, because I'd be driving in at 2 in the morning. And I hit them, and one of them almost totaled my car.
Wow.
Like, they can do incredible damage.
They will mess it up. I've heard you should just hit it because also if you slam on the brakes, they could go through the windshield.
Yes.
You could put yourself in more danger.
And the tips for this are obviously slow down if you're in rural areas, but use high beams when you can. You can see their eyes. They reflect the light back. You know how that is. They glow on the side of the roads. I've learned to look for that. And if there's one, there'll be more because they're always in groups.
They just prance.
Yes.
It's really scary.
Well, and that's what happened the one time when I hit one. I slammed on the brakes and I thought, well, I missed him, and then I started to go and another one came right in front. And they'll just keep running across the road. You're supposed to stop, honk the horn, and then if they don't move, put on your hazards and wait.
This is something that was so bad in Arkansas growing up. There's so many deer there that my dad was so worried about me driving late at night. It wasn't mainly because he wanted me in the house by a certain time, but he was worried about all the deer that's near our neighborhood because we have them in our backyard at home all the time too. So it's scary.
Yeah. Did he say anything about when people hit them and just leave them there? Because that's also dangerous as well.
So that was my concern because the one that I hit was really big. And so I called 911 and they said, that's what you need to do. Call us, then we'll take care of sending out the crews to take care of it.
And then it's just nasty afterwards because all the buzzards and different things come.
Well, they come, but it's usually the next day. So do the best you can. Be safe out there. We're coming right back.
It's about time to fill up your candy bowls with all the sweetness your heart desires. But every year there's a big debate over what is the best Halloween candy. Well, now we have some answers for you from Instacart. Now this is all based on their sales. It looks like Red Vines, Twizzlers, and candy corn are the most popular. You can see North Carolina's is candy corn, but according to Instacart, North Carolina is also one of 5 states with the least amount of candy purchases. Interesting. I asked you on my Facebook page to tell me your favorite Halloween candy. Cindy says peanut butter taffy. For Leslie, it's any of the sour kind. Vicky likes candy corn mixed with peanuts. I've heard to try that. I've never done it though. Carol writes Reese's peanut butter cups and anything else that's chocolate. Kristen says she's always loved getting sugar daddies and milk duds when trick-or-treating as a kid. And my mom, Susan, she said dots. And I just thought, Susan, those are nasty.
Those are the ones you give away.
I don't
Yeah,
like
they
dots
stick in
either.
my
with
teeth.
other people.
Are
I'm gonna have to
little,
call her later
Are those
about
the ones
that.
that look like little gummies
Yeah.
that have
Yes.
little white dots
Drop-like
all over
thingies.
them?
They're
Yeah, no.
awful. That was
Yeah,
her favorite.
Let's
did
be
not
nice.
like
Let's be
those.
nice to Miss Susan.
You can have mine, Miss
My,
Susan.
my question for you guys is: are Twizzlers and Red Vines not the same thing?
They taste different. Red
Do
Vines
they?
are better.
Really?
I had to even
I don't-
I had to Google what a red vine was. I didn't know what that was.
It's
I
like an
don't like
off-branded Twizzler,
I
but
say I don't like cherry flavored candy, anything really. So I don't eat Twizzlers or Red Vine, but they look the same to me, so I thought it was the same thing.
I like all things sour, Reese's, and then my outlier that most people are what is Fun Dip. I love Fun
oh
Dip.
yes,
Fun Dip.
those were like 25 cents at like the grocery store.
Really?
I used to like to just eat the stick part.
I did
Yeah,
too.
me too.
Yeah.
Me too. My
Yeah,
mother
it
made
turn your
fun of me
mouth
for
all
that.
Yeah.
blue. So good.
You pour the dust in your mouth, eat that when you're
Yeah.
a kid, and then I'd chew on the stick. It's the best.
All the candy. Ugh, I need some candy corn in my life.
Yes,
About
I can't
that
wait
time.
till they go
Candy
on.
corn?
Yes, I just finished a bag the other night.
All right, ladies, I won't argue with you. I'm sorry. I'm not even about to do.
I like
That is a
candy
big
corn, but I don't
debate,
love
the
it.
candy corn debate, but we can save that for another day.
I'm a Skittles and Starburst guy.
Okay.
Skittles and Starburst,
I
I
can go with
cannot
that.
miss.
And the jelly beans, the Starburst jelly beans. Have you tried those?
They're okay.
All this after we talked about how healthy we need to be in the first.
I know.
Yeah,
Right.
I did see that.
Low salt. Now we're talking about candy.
More sugar.
All right, we're coming back. Stay right there.
Yeah, the watermelon flavor.
Does this be like magenta? What's the
Yeah,
color?
fuchsia. Fuchsia.
Fuchsia.
Yeah.
Hello, it's a mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Get used to it. This is our new daily struggle.
Hi there, 1, 2, 3. The North Carolina State Fair open today. 1, 2.
Hey, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gotcha.
Hey, things are picking up here in High Point. It is pretty busy already, even though market doesn't start.
Hi there, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina. Did you hear that? Is that popping happening?
I did hear a little pop.
I am right by the 210 office. I'm going to keep walking over here this way. I hear it. I freaking hear it. Yep, I'm going to keep going. Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee. I'm still riding high after an incredible weekend home in Wisconsin. My little sister Chelsea got married on the most perfect day. I even got a brother out of it. She looked absolutely beautiful, and I'm so grateful we were able to share the special day with her. Chelsea is the first of us Silber siblings to get married. We've heard a lot of people say over time, it's about time one of you tied the knot. Now all three of us are in our mid to late 30s, so I suppose it's unusual that none of us got married until now. Don't you hate societal pressures? I certainly do. When are you getting married? When are you having kids? Honestly, what's the rush? Besides, I've seen way too many marriages end within a year or two because the couple just didn't give their relationship enough time to develop before diving into the deep end. Oftentimes people will ask me, why are you still single? Well, my question to them, why not? I love being single. The freedom to do as I please, the ability to go wherever, whenever. It's really the way I prefer it. Sure, I'd love to have a companion, a life partner, someone to share and do things with, but I'm still having the time of my life being single. I do plan to settle down someday, but it won't be today and it won't be tomorrow. That's my choice and frankly, my business. That's just my 2 cents, and you're 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now.
A long-standing feud, threats on social media, bond denied. Right now at 5 o'clock, new information about the deadly school shooting at Mount Tabor High School.
WFMY News 2's Marissa Tanzino spoke with both the prosecutor and the defense attorney. Marissa, what did you learn?
Well, Lauren, Julie, both the defense and prosecution say the shooting at Mount